after the first quarter of the year, businesses now face a critical moment of reflection. What worked, what didn't, and more importantly, what needs to change? With shifting consumer behavior, economic pressures, and evolving market dynamics, Q2 is no longer just a continuation. It's a pivot point, a chance for companies to recalibrate strategy, reallocate resources, and refocus priorities to stay competitive. Today we're discussing the Q2 pivot, how businesses can move from assessment to action and position themselves for stronger performance in the months ahead. And definitely we see the Q1 reality check there. Monetary policy, 26.5%. We see inflation rate, 15.06%. Last exchange rate from CBN, 1,380 to the dollar. I would say the 91-day Treasury bill paper there at 15.95%. Joining me now is Mr. Babatunde Jogunla, strategy consultant and investment banker, joining me via Zoom. Great to have you on the show, sir. Good morning. Good morning, sir. So, definitely looking at Q1, starting off January, then, February, things were looking okay. Then towards the tail end of February, then, we had the Iran war, and we've seen the prices of, fuel, diesel, that started off the, month at, or the quarter at levels that were, we could actually take. And definitely we did see big spikes, the Dangote refinery having to increase prices about 15 times in March, alone. So, set in context here, Q1 is often seen as a tone setter for the rest of the year. How much weight should businesses place on first quarter performance when making decisions for the second quarter?
Thank you for having me. Well, first quarter is what it is. It's always the foundation for what you expect for the rest of the quarter in the year. So for this first quarter, we've seen some form of early wins. At the same time, the realities of the challenges we face in the national economy. We must remember that the businesses in Nigeria had to face with high cost of fund, the price of fund from CBN, that's the price of money. MPR itself was 26.5, which came down, from its 27%. The economy, the businesses had to deal with the ripple effect of the recapitalization of the banking sector, which in a way would have mopped up funds all towards meeting the set deadline for CBN. And the third challenge that Q1 faced was the issue of the leak, which has to do with the inflation eating up whatever margins and the income of the people in Nigeria and businesses. So all of that put together would lay a good foundation for what should happen in the second quarter. So second quarter itself is an opportunity for us to carry out adjustment to enable us thrive in the second quarter, and which will lead on to the third and fourth quarter of the year.
All right, definitely at this point, seeing what's played out so far, I guess strategy is very important right now, but you don't want to overreact, I guess, as a business. What would you say are the key indicators that signal it's time for a strategic pivot, rather than, minor adjustments here and there for businesses?
Yes, business itself, must strive on good strategy, having defined your full potential, or whatever your objective is, right from the word go. So with what happened in the first quarter, the next quarter, that's the second quarter now, the focus should be what are the pillars of what you will need to do in the second quarter to make sure you are able to operate smart and lay foundation for sustainable growth in your third and fourth quarter of the year. So one of those things for me is for you to ensure that, like you said, you are not overreacting to challenges, and you make sure that you manage your sources of revenue funding. With the cost of fund, which I mentioned to you earlier, price of money, it's actually a threat to business. And so businesses must ensure that they are able to bring in more of equity and move away. They must pivot away from debt and to avoid expensive bank loans and generate internally generated revenues and or private equity funding. Those will help them stabilize and be able to plan and create value for businesses. Another thing businesses may need to do in the second quarter to thrive and lay foundation for successes in the third and fourth quarter will be the natural hedging of foreign exchange. You know what foreign exchange has meant for us in the economy with the flotation of Naira, and with all of that and the nature of our economy itself, which is largely import dependent, a lot of inputs had to be imported, and that is putting pressure on the exchange market. So it's advisable, like a number of companies, are doing or may be doing now, is to ensure that they switch to local sourcing, that they can be using Naira to buy their inputs. That's the raw materials, and that will reduce volatility, which will be part of what was experienced in the first quarter and prior to that as well. So that for me, it's one way to go in terms of strategy for businesses. An additional one is to now make sure you operate lean and you are efficient in your processes to cut down costs. And you do that by ensuring that you invest in technology, you adopt technology to reduce waste and optimize efficiency, productivity. Bring down the cost of production per unit as low as you can, and you can now be in a better position to generate good revenue that would help you support your business in the third and fourth quarter. Another big challenge I see is the energy mix. You have to invest in energy. Price of, like as you have rightly mentioned, the February 28th U.S.-Israel on an attack on Iran has changed the dynamics a bit, not a bit, a lot indeed. So energy itself, prices on the high side in Nigeria now. That's pump price of petrol has gone to between 1,000 plus to 1,300, and a lot of businesses rely on diesel and to fire and run their businesses. So investment may be made on, hybrid, that is investing in solar and using gas-powered equipment to help you stabilize your business and bring the costs down. So those are the key ones, and you have to navigate the regulatory space as well. We must face the reality from the CBN now that the forbearance is gone for the banks, and a number of things comes with that. That means transparency, compliance will be the focus of central bank, and businesses must now be ready for that. This will, if some businesses, the banks have been allowed to, exceed their single obligor limit for some time. All those will be over now. Limits, banks will be able to, CBN will now enforce compliance around its regulatory requirement and enforcement. So, and there's the tax angle to it as well. The recent tax reform has come into effect in part, and tax compliance is very important so that you ensure that you attune yourself with the objective of the federal government that is targeting to push tax revenue to up to 15% of tax to GDP ratio. This will bring about activism in tax compliance and collection. So we encourage businesses to now increase their tax planning to avoid some penalties that may come with that, as stipulated by the Reform Act, by the third and fourth quarter. So those are the key things we need to look into. And most importantly, again, like you said, the external effect. We have to, it comes to the external effect has the positive and the negative side now. The positive side is that we've seen increased of confidence in the Nigerian economy by the foreign direct investment flow into the country. That rose to about 6.4 billion in the, rounding up in the first quarter. So businesses can position themselves to tap into this by ensuring that they do their reporting, they audit their books, and international investors can actually trust their figures and be able to invest in their business based on their values, their value proposition. And on the other side to it is the volatility that the current hostility in Iran, Israel, US, effects on the global supply chain and the oil energy prices. So those are all things businesses must put together in form of a strategy and calibrate it to their overall objective and be able to now have a point with which they work with into this third to thrive in the second quarter and build capacity into the third and the fourth quarter.
Right. And, there's so much, for businesses to actually, take in there. Thank you so much for helping us, paint that picture. But at the same time, I was thinking to myself, recently, most of the price increases we've seen so far for some of these important commodities, we've seen it's been, supply side disruptions. But at the end of the day, there's a demand side, and demand destruction is actually building, on that side. So looking at the consumer now, how do you think businesses can respond to, changing consumer spending patterns, especially in uncertain, economic environments? You see the January 27th, we saw the first petrol price hike from about 699 naira per liter. That's ex-depot price to 799 naira per liter. Fast forward to, March 31st, we did see 1,275, a rise to about 1,200 actually to 1,275 naira. That's ex-depot prices. So just imagine as a consumer, you've already, budgeted how much you want to spend for, other things, and the fuel is taking a huge chunk, from that. So definitely the consumer has to, step back, recalibrate, and, cut some things out, at this time. And some businesses rely on, some things the average consumer will want to cut off, at this point. So how do you think, businesses can navigate that? Do they have to, I know they can't bring down prices, at this point. What do you think is the way forward?
Yeah, thank you. At the end of the day, all it's about the consumers. They are the one that pays, and their sensitivity must always be, at the center of whatever business strategy or options we are pursuing as a business. So consumer sensitivity, it's for now will be to, my suggestion to businesses were to review their product offering and value offering. As consumers, we continue to seek for value and at affordable prices. So they must now redesign products for consumers that would, bring down cost of how much consumer will have to part with to get their product, while optimizing value for both consumers and the business. So that can be achieved by a number of things we mentioned earlier, talking about the smarter approach to you getting your raw materials instead of you having to spend so much on foreign exchange to be importing, and the turnaround time itself, the logistics and all of that, with the disruption in the supply side of things. So businesses can look inwards and engage with the local resources, suppliers, with research and development as well, to ensure that they can use Naira to get their products, their input, and with that, accelerate performance in their production process or services offering to the consumers. So sometimes challenges does present a huge opportunity, embedded in it. It's for individual businesses, executives, or management to, put up strategies and a good thinking cap to optimize their, interest in the existing situation. So no doubt, consumer sensitivity is a key one, which you have rightly pointed out. So businesses must pay attention to that.
All right, definitely. We'll all be looking forward to the earnings for Q1 2026. We'll see how much impact, some of these shocks, have on these earnings, or maybe, some of them are able to absorb it. Well, thank you so much, sir, for, joining us today to help us unpack this. Mr. Babatunde is a strategy consultant and investment banker. Thank you for sharing your your Monday with us. Easter Monday. Definitely, I know you would have been eating and having fun at this time. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you for your time today. Thank you, Nigeria. Bye.
Bye-bye.